It's back to the big tracks right before summer break. Michigan International Speedway plays host to tonight's event, and we've just crossed the halfway mark here in the Integrity Ignite Series. The Monday night from Michigan, one of the most exciting circuits on our schedule. Last season, Michael Stroll got the victory here, and tonight, maybe we find ourselves with a repeat in victory lane from a year's time, or we find ourselves another driver taking on one of the biggest tracks in our oval schedule. We'll find that out, though, in a few minutes' time, as qualifying is currently on the move. Welcome back live on FTN after an exciting weekend of thousands of dollars being given away. It's time to get back to the points-paying racing, and it is, once again, the Integrity Racing League that brings you the start of the week. I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm David Kreutz, your commentator and producer, and it's great to have you here once more. Qualifying is less than 2 minutes remaining as it stands, with Rob Ackley at the top of the charts and Justin Morton then second, with Matthew Thunor's position number 3. Morton just ended his run and he had a fantastic race last week with the dominant victory at the Sonoma Raceway. And that was a race that maybe went a little bit in a different direction than what we expected. Thomas Bressi, the dominant man in 2023 throughout those road courses, well, simply put, was not able to hold a candle to the drivers around him, and it was Justin Morton taking his second road course win of the season. His first came at Watkins Glen, and getting another at Sonoma puts him now on top of the board in 2024 with those road course victories. Brandon Bernhardt going to be coming down to pit road 18th in his qualifying run, provisionally speaking. DJ Stagner going to be back on the track, multi-time winner this season. However, a part-time campaign running little over half the races so far. DJ's first lap going to put him up in the 23rd here, so maybe a chance to go for one more that'll be a little bit quicker. He looks to be 7/10 faster already as he comes out of the back straightaway and into turns 3 and 4. The season finale for the Thursday night Highline Racing League was at Michigan. Stagner participated in that season and that event as well. Maybe a little bit of that experience will carry over here, as with 30 seconds to go, DJ looks good to maybe jump up inside the top 10. Coming across the line now, the number 64, a second quicker. That time is going to be good for position number 15. That's how competitive qualifying times are. 15th within 2/10. Matter of fact, our pole position is a dead heat by less than 1,000th of a second. Rob Ackley's on top, and qualifying has concluded. The number 22 of Ackley going to win the pole for the third time this season by less than 1,000th over your defending winner. How about that to end qualifying? And so, with qualifying over, it looks like over 25 drivers have registered to get this night going. A few faces we haven't seen in quite a while. Some of our part-time competitors have once again returned. And, of course, the championship fight, it'll keep on rolling. Admittedly, a very good night for both of our champions. My apologies there. Good night for both Thunhorst and Braxton Weiss last night in Sonoma. Of course, last night of racing it was. And we're hoping to see a little bit more of that today. They've been taking our breaths away quite literally for the past few weeks, and I think we'll see a little bit more. But first off, let's focus on who's at the front of the pack. To start off the night's event in the Motor City 220, take a look at how close it is at the front. It is Rob Ackley with a 39.988, the pole sitter for tonight's race, and right next to him, Justin Morton in second with a 38.989. He's there outside of row number 1. Matthew Thunorst is going to be third, and Chad Mikus is in fourth. Fifth place is going to be Don Stevenson. Sixth in Michael Stroll. Chuck Sweeting going to be seventh on the order with a 39.047, and right beside him within 2/100ths, Jacob Fife in his number 36. Nick Tarbuck then there is going to be 9th. 10th place goes to Blake Gordon, and 11th spot Immediately thereafter, Cody Smith. Thomas Bressy's 12th and 13th is Seb Miller. Kyle Cooper's 14th, and DJ Stagner rounds out the top 15 with a 39.177. Cody Erdman is going to be in 16th, and Adam Wood is 17th place. Or Smith 18th, Brandon Bernhardt 19th, and Brian McFerrin rounding out the top 20 in his number 7. 21st on the order tonight's going to be Vinny Tigner, one of our biggest fields in weeks. It looks like tonight we're going to hit over 30 with Tigner 21st, Andrew Schaub 22nd, and Anthony Cortina, a driver we haven't seen since Daytona, returning 39.536 for Cortina, and Ryan Potter with a 39.567, 24th and last of those who have taken the time. Braxton Deweese going to be 25th, and Brad Patton is 26th. Blake Cannon coming off of his first ever Ignite Series race last week. He's 27th with us tonight. Travis McQuistion is going to be 28th, with Gael Brooks 29th, Boomer Logan 30th. Round out the field, your 31st and final entry, Cal Filarski. 16 rows of drivers ready to go in one of our fastest tracks. That is your starting grid from Michigan. Just like that, multiple drivers are on their hood. Looks like they've gone back to pit road. Pit road quite busy for this practice session. Not a lot of times we see drivers taking in these 5 minutes, but it looks like so far, give or take 20 drivers have made their way onto the circuit. Braxton Deweese, one of which, Brad Patton, currently finds himself the fastest of all, who have taken at least 1 lap so far. Patton, one-time Octane Series winner this season, and he's been a devout follower of not taking a qualifying time in any race he participates in here in the Integrity Racing League, deciding always to start at the back of the field and work his way up. Patton has found success with multiple top 5 runs across both series, and at victory in the Octane Series has not yet gotten it done with his first win of the Ignite Series. Well, we haven't seen it just yet. Maybe an opportunity it comes in the near future in those coming weeks. 50 seconds to go as it stands, and right now, Patton rolling down the back straight. A few drivers have decided to go down a pit road once more. Blake Cannon is once again on the way, and we saw him come through for his very first attempt in the Integrity Ignite Series at Sonoma. Came home with a 7th place finish, and not at all a bad driver to keep looking out for here. I think Cannon with the potential maybe for a top 10 run tonight once again, if not a little bit more. The entire field looked to be spread out by less than a half second in qualifying. At least of those who have taken the time, everyone is quick. Now we're going to figure out what separates the fast from the fastest. And that's going to be the determining factor in finding a race winner. Mike is down to the bottom side, Nick Tarbuck up top, but it will be Brad Patton, the fastest driver in this warm-up session. Top of the board with a 39.06. Patton, quickest in final practice here in the Motor City 220. And so, with practice and qualifying out of the way, we've got ourselves a 110-lap feature right atop the timing sheet. You'll see your drivers in the starting grid lining up again. Rob Ackley, a driver who's done it before in the Integrity Ignite Series. He's done it in multiple ways. SuperSpeedway Racing, intermediate action. One of the drivers who has gone from the top of the board to finish at the top. A driver who's come from the middle of the field on up, and he's versatile when it comes to Rob Ackley's strengths. If he gets a good run in, very hard to knock him down, and I think tonight, an opportunity for that second win on the campaign. Justin Morton was able to get the victory, of course, last week in Sonoma, but it's not a road course any longer. He's been looking very good as of recent. A 2nd place finish in Charlotte, the win at Sonoma as well. Watkins Glen, of course, a victory too. It might be a different circuit, but he's running up and in front of a lot of very strong drivers. And Braxton Deweese going to be starting 25th tonight relative to championship rival Matthew Thunhorst. That's a big difference. Might come into play in our championship hunt as drivers are going to roll off the starting grid here in Michigan. Ackley on the bottom, Justin Morton right up high. Let's talk about the Michigan International Speedway, the track we're at for tonight's race. 2 miles of banked high-speed action, and everything except for the back straightaway is noticeably banked. It's very similar to Auto Club. Now, we went to Fontana earlier this season, and we saw a thriller of a race, and that was the week where Justin Trombley came out by surprise and dominated both races. In all honesty, one of the more impressive drives that we've seen all season, although we haven't seen much of Trombley ever since. So we're in a situation where we're effectively in a clean slate here. The driver who dominated Auto Club week no longer with us, but there's a few similarities. Not only the speed, the distance, and of course the type of track, but these are worn grooves. You can see the high side from the bottom and the middle lanes in between. There's a lot of opportunity to take different grooves from your competitors around you, and when you're coming down that start finish line, you can go 4 or 5 wide depending on how risky you choose to race it. A lot of options and opportunities for the drivers here that could come into play with some green flag running. We saw 4 or 5 of those cautions last time around at the most similar other track. Maybe tonight in Michigan, we get away here from Motor City and go all the way green. That's up to the field to decide as Rob Ackley comes down to the green flag and Justin Morton's right alongside him. Welcome back to the Motor City. We are green from Michigan. Coming across the line, Rob Ackley going to lead the way into turns 1 and 2 for lap number 2. And as you can see, the field is still largely connected. A lot of drivers assigned to take it 2x2. A little bit of 3 wide coming up here with Jacob Fife, Blake Gordon, and the like. Overall, everyone decided to keep their own. And it's a good thing to see, of course, not having that over-aggressive nature of racing coming in so early. A lot of time on the table, and as you can see, drivers are connected. There's no one driver that's really out of the pack right now. Everyone in the field, from 31st on up, are within 4 seconds. So you are not disconnected if you're driving right now. You can see the drivers ahead of you, and you can most likely see the leader from no matter where you are on the track, even if they are a little bit further away than most others. Side by side, Stagner going to go up top into Vinny Tigner right down low. You got Travis McQuistion there with Brad Patton. And nevertheless, double files, these drivers barrel down the back straightaway. 3 laps in, there's Seb Miller in 18th with Vinny Tigner. You see DJ Stagner in the mix as well. We're going to see a lot of that double file here in the early going as drivers settle themselves in. It all comes down to how comfortable you are in the pack, and it's a similar style of racing to Fontana. Not so much to what we see, of course, in regards to Daytona or Talladega. We talk about communication being such a big deal, but at a track like Michigan, you can more so predict the drivers around you. Their motion isn't too erratic, even though everyone is going at such a high speed. It's about 165, 170 into the corners, and then you come out and you get up to about 190 on your exit here. So you can see what's going on. You're not full throttle all the way, but it is still quite quick. The championship race as it stands, Braxton Weiss gained 3 points on the aforementioned Matthew Thunhorst, and Thunhorst right now in a good spot to potentially gain big. He finds himself fighting to get inside of the 3rd position with defending Michigan winner Michael Stroll. But as you can see, Stroll is already coming up on his domination intimidation racing teammate in Rob Ackley. And it looks like DIR right now, even though they're on the podium, it looks like Chad Mikus has also been able to slip through. Chad Mikus is looking for what could be his first career Ignite Series win. His best finish came 2nd place, and that was last year in Atlanta. It was a 2nd place to Michael Stroll, I believe, and he was able to get it there. Oh, so close. It was a last lap wreck. He and Stroll were able to part the seas, and He came through first and second. Ever since then, Chad Mikas is becoming a much better driver. The 25 right here, well, he finds himself top 5 in the championship standings, and coming into tonight, he is 3rd in the points table. Even though he might not be in there for the championship fight just yet, if push came to shove, Chad is in a really good spot to seat himself up in the playoffs, and right now, running well ahead of very, very strong competitors like Rob Ackley, Matthew Thunhorse, Thomas Bressie, a very good sign as these weeks go by. Here's the number 19 of Blake Gordon. Gordon look for an opportunity right up top. Ackley going to be nowhere in sight here, but Thomas Bressie defending, and Don Stevenson coming through as well, as most drivers go 2 wide. Brad Patton goes 3 further on back. And right there with Seb Miller and DJ Stagner, Vinny Tigner hoping to get away. And it's a sea of names and a sea of drivers right now, seeing that Justin Morton is admittedly falling back just a bit. And now DJ Stagner trying to shuffle it down low. A little bit further, Justin Morton is dropped back from 2nd on the order, now down to 10th. And maybe this is a strategy call. It could be, with the time that we have. Most of the field, of course, an opportunity maybe to settle in a line, drive with the pack, try not to wear out the tire, use up your fuel. That's an opportunity these drivers could take if they're going for the long term here. 110 laps, and I think we're going to see 2 strategies come into play tonight. We might see the 40-40, then go all the way strategy, which is 2 pit stops, which would basically be you go down a pit road for the first time at about lap number 40. Then from there, you go down a pit road at about lap number 80. And after lap 80, you should be able to make it all the way with about a 30-lap run. Maybe we see 35-35. To make it a little more even, it might just be 40-40, then go all the way. Or, if someone's able to stretch it very far, the 55 split, which I feel is a very unlikely strategy, given the way these drivers are going at it right now. I don't anticipate drivers going for the one-stopper tonight, unless they are absolutely able to save their stuff perfectly. Well, we saw Alec Daffin and Michael Stroll do it last year in what was a slightly abbreviated race. I believe that came down to about 200 miles, 100 laps. Vinny Tigner right now going down low on Kyle Cooper, and Vinny making up time, hoping to get inside the top dozen. And we talk about that Michigan race a lot more than maybe other regular season events of last year. Well, that was a turning point in 2 ways. Michael Stroll coming back. He was part-time last year, as he is this year, and he's once again running very solidly. If you were there watching it last year, you might remember Alec Daffin led the first 25, 30 laps, and he led him on his own. He was out and in front, but Stroll was able to come back later in the race, and even though he was close to begin with, he was able to pull away after getting the lead. There was really no going back. Michael Stroll knowing that right now, these laps are not the most important to lead. It all comes down to what's left on the table after the first half, and Stroll was able to dominate to come home into victory lane. That was the first sign of life for Alec Daffin, who ended up having a magic championship run last season. He had podiums in the final 5 races consecutively, and he got 2 wins to boot, so he was able to come out with the championship just ahead of Thomas Bressie. Bressie has been second in the championship in both previous seasons. Maybe not looking for that 3rd opportunity this time around. He's a little bit further off where he'd like to be, and last week did not help, but it was a top 5 finish, so you might wonder, why didn't it help? The strength of the competition around him was simply not enough to gain in the points. As it stands, Bressie finds himself right now, if we're looking at the championship standings, he is up to 4th, but Chad Mikas is still right there ahead of him, and the gap between those two is 22 points, and with Chad Mikas right now leading and Thomas Bressie being there in 5th, that's not a game by any means. He just happens to find himself in a good position relative to a guy like Braxton Deweese. Braxton's up to 18th right now as we look at the entirety of the field coming down. All 31 drivers are still within the same straightaway right now. Andrew Schaub, 31st and last. Everyone has made it through this first 10th, and they've done so just fine. Now you see Cody Smith right there with Forrest Smith. Both of the Smiths right now going to be right on each other. And the number 15 going to be leading Cody into turns 1 and 2. Forrest going a little bit higher, and you can see how many grooves are being used at the same time here as you watch into 1 and 2. It looks like about 4 different grooves all the way high for a guy like Forrest Smith. You've got the 2 grooves in the middle there for the drivers like Cody Erdman or Vinny Tigner, and then you've got Brad Patton, who was going much, much lower. And I think right now the middle seems to be the most preferred groove. Maybe not dominant necessarily, but it is preferred. Now Michael Stroll looking to make a wave here, going down and low is Matthew Thunhorst on him, and it's going to be side by side for the runner-up position. Quick move there for the Alec Daffin crew no longer. Well, that's Michael Stroll making a pass like he did on Daffin last year. He gets by Matthew Thunhorst. That's for second. Now Chad Mikus is up next. Mikus looking from his back end. He's got the number 3 coming up on him. Maybe not all over him just yet, but Michael Stroll, he's not going to play around from here. I can only imagine that he's going to wait a lap or 2 longer, then try to pounce. The gap between the two, less than 1/10 of a second. And being in that draft, getting that train of speed is going to help out. Of course, very, very challenging to find on your own, and exclusive to the drivers in the lead is that clean air. Now down to the inside, Michael Stroll looking for the lead so early. He's got himself cut under. Just like that, the number 3 goes to the point. He's going to be side by side working down the back straight, and the number 8 of Matthew Thunhorst maybe going to pull him through just a little bit more here. Not enough. The 25 of Mikus finds himself still held up high. Rob Ackley going to be looking on back. Michael Stroll now going to be fighting up there with the guys on the high side. We'll see if he comes out with the advantage. Across the stripe, the 3 goes down low and just barely at the line. Was ahead by a few thousandths of a second as to come up the track, and it's going to cost him a few thousandths again. It's door to door now, and it's been that way for about a lap and a half. Matthew Thunhorst now going to be looking from beyond, and Michael Stroll is clear. The number 3 gets back to the race lead for the first time since last year in Michigan. The number 3 is back on top. Now Thomas Bressi trying to come up there with the second pack. Don Stevenson looking down and under. Stevenson looking really good so far to open up this race, so watch out for Don. Maybe a chance he keeps it up there with a guy like Thomas Bressi as he moves by Blake Gordon. That is the pass for 7. Chuck Sweeting, one of the guys who's better at these high-speed circuits and the intermediates and such. Well, looks like he's back in his prime form. Not the best of road course drivers. We saw him initially at the Circuit of the Americas, had a sub-top 15 run there. And haven't seen him all too much of these twists and turns ever since, but for Sweeting, he finds himself in the top 10 right now, ahead of Justin Morton. Morton maybe lying back and watching aboard as Matthew Thunhorst now looks to go down and under. The number 8 makes it by Chad Mikus, and it's going to be now Mikus down to 3rd. Rob Acton coming up next, and that could be Rob moving back in the top 3 if he can get by Mikus. Looking at largely single-file racing here in the first 18 laps. You've seen the field separate now by a total of 7.7 seconds. Going back to Cal Filarski here. Cal going to be running in 31st. Andrew Schaub got by to get back in 30th. And Anthony Cortina in his first race in quite a while here, where he's made his way back, and he finds himself now in 29th. Cortina is a driver we have not seen since the very beginning. Matter of fact, Cortina does not have one point-paying start. We saw him at the Daytona Duels is all. Have not seen him ever since. He is one of 4 registered drivers with no starts to his name. So Anthony making his season debut quite late in the season, shall we say. At this point, it's beyond halfway, so there's very little hope, of course, to come back in the championship race. But at the same time, he's been waiting a while, and we saw him once in February and have not ever since. So for Cortina, the long-awaited debut, which should bump him up into the top 50 in the championship standings if he has a good night. But I can't imagine 29th is a good night for his standards here as he runs in the back half of the field, running behind guys like Kyle Brooks and Boomer Logan. Logan right now going to find himself in 27th. Not the best run for Boomer. He's had better runs this season, and quite a few of which. When we talk about the 94 of Boomer Logan, I think when it comes down to the back half of the field, he's been one of the most improved drivers all throughout this season. And We'll talk a little bit more about what we've seen out of that number 94 crew in Boomer Logan. 13 races to this point, and even though he only has himself one top 10 finish, we've seen him more so running inside of the top 15, trying to get some more consistent runs down, and I think we're going to see a little bit more out of him as the campaign progresses. Right now, though, of course, running on 27th, there's a ways to go. However, he's running alongside Gael Brooks, who has multiple career podiums, and Brooks right now, maybe not in the best of places, but he got his career best finish of second earlier in this campaign. We'll see if he can string himself up there, as now the fight for the lead once again continues. Matthew Thunhorse going to be up top, and it's going to be Michael Stroll right down low. For Thunhorse's sake, in the championship battle, he desperately needs a race win. Meanwhile, Michael Stroll looking to defend the track that he made his own last season. And Chad Michaels is going to be watching aboard, but it looks like now it's going to be Thunhorse back on top. Thomas Bressie fourth, and as it stands, he finds himself right ahead of Rob Ackley, making the move to get inside of the top 5 just a few laps prior. And all of a sudden now, Thomas is going to make that second pack and first pack come together. And now it's going to be Bressie merging in, trying to get into the realm of guys like Chad Michaels, Michael Stroll, and Matthew Thunhorse. Further on back, championship leader Braxton Deweese has gotten up into 15th. He's making time and trying to make some gains to get up inside the top 10 now. We'll see whether or not he can. 22 laps into this stint. Not necessarily worn tires just yet, but I cannot imagine they're held up as well, given how many spots he's had to make up. Starting in 24th tonight, Deweese has been one of the biggest movers, only really to be outdone by Brad Patton here, who's once again another driver who's making those big moves up the circuit. And now Patton going to be in 14th, looking to make his way up into 13th, 12th, 11th, and maybe a little more beyond. You can see guys like Blake Gordon within the frame, and Gordon's within the 8th position right now. So for Patton, he's made some big moves to get up inside contention for the top 10. We'll see whether or not he can hold on to it here as the field rattles down the back straight. Race lead goes to Matthew Thunhorse so far. He's got Michael Stroll in second and Chad Michaels then in third. Quarter of the way through, nearly. We're getting closer to that point anyway, and so far it has been in between 3 drivers so far for the race lead most of the night. Rob Ackley led to start this one off, but that was the very beginning. He dropped back, and so did Justin Morton. Then you saw Chad Michaels hold the spot. Then it became Michael Stroll's, and all of a sudden now it's that number 8 of Matthew Thunhorse looking for what could be back-to-back JTM wins. We'll see whether or not that team can come through and get themselves another race victory. It's up in the air right now, but there's still a ways to go as that number 8 has the advantage. Caution flies for the first time tonight, and the reason being back of the field, Ryan Potter brings out the caution. He looked to be alone at the time of the incident. Let's find out what just happened. And we're looking right now at Ryan Potter, contact with Blake Cannon, wiggles, and once Cannon comes up the track, and well, I don't know what else that could have been. Cannon just went up there into Potter, and there is contact. Yellow flag is out, and Blake Cannon is going to take that 99 for a light ride. Didn't look like major contact, but we'll ride on board to get a real understanding of what that was there, because Cannon was turning up where Potter was, and that looked to be the end of it. Watch one more time. Well, I can imagine the Cannon didn't quite think Potter was giving him enough room there, but we'll make the call for ourselves here in integrity, and just like that, the yellow flag is out. Cannon involved there with Ryan Potter, and pit road is about to get busy. Field is coming in for the first time tonight, and everyone comes through from top to bottom. Leader all the way down to just about 31st. Chris DeWeese and Doug Mindorf from the chat room, thank you guys for stopping by. We're on to our first pit cycle of the night, and as everyone comes in together, question becomes, who gets out first? And now as everyone's going to be taking 4 tires and fuel for the first time tonight, drivers are rushing out. Michael Stroll going to be beaten by Thunhorst. Then it's Chad Mikus, Thomas Bressi, Rob Ackley rounds out the top 5, it appears. 6th place goes to Don Stevenson and Jacob Fife right there in 7th. Blake Gordon's 8th, Justin Morton is 9th, and Vinny Signer concludes the top 10. 6 laps in out of 110 here, and the first pit cycle is out of the way. And it comes through under yellow, so it could be a one-stop strategy from here. The 2-stop looks to be especially safe now. 1-stopper is in the realm of possibility as Matthew Thunhorst once again comes out as your race leader here in the Motor City 220. It's going to be Thunhorst, Stroll, and Mikus as your top 3. "26 laps in, Matthew Thunhorst is going to be your race leader, Michael Stroll in 2nd, and Chad Mikus then in 3rd. Ackley going to be 4th, and Thomas Bressi 5th, with 6th place Don Stevenson right there beside him. And as we go 2 by 2, time to get ourselves up, ordered for another restart. Most of the field getting ready as is. Looks like a few more coming down a pit road. Anthony Cortina just got out, but a few more have just gone in. Boomer Logan, DJ Stagner, Gael Brooks, Seb Miller. And as you can see, it's a small group looking for a slightly different strategy. First opportunity to really make some changes here to the strategy call, and we'll see whether or not that plays out in their favor. It's going to be a small run-in for a little bit of extra fuel to top off, and I think they're betting on it being a long green flag run tonight. That was a very minor incident that admittedly got us started here, so I think we could have avoided that one. Maybe now the expectation is we avoid it for the rest of the day, and we bring ourselves home under green from this point onward. Wouldn't that be great? Let's see what happens here, as it's going to be Michael Stroll and Matthew Thunhorst up in front for your first restart in a half lap's time. Pace car going to leave the field in just 2 turns. Michael Stroll and Matthew Thunhorst have been going at it for the better part of this race, and all 4 drivers who have led a lap so far, Ackley, Mikus, Stroll, Thunhorst, they're all together once again, and it's time to do battle out of the start-finish line. Matthew Thunhorst going to lead the field right back with Michael Stroll there in 2nd. High side's got the control as the green flag's out once again. First restart's underway from Michigan. Thunhorst is going to get that jump, and he's got Michael Stroll right behind him. Restart's going to be real quick here, right on board with Rob Ackley for the initial lap. Ackley now trying to get in the mix with a side-by-side battle for the race lead on equal tires once again. Michael Stroll is coming back, and you can see him now using that high side to propel himself to the race lead. The number 3 back in control, and he's got himself ahead. It's now going to be Matthew Thunhorst and Rob Ackley fighting each other for second. New race leader is the number 3. Going to be a myriad of drivers going 2 or 3 wide right now. Braxton Weiss now going to be in 12th as he fights alongside Brad Patton. He's got Blake Cannon right there as well. It's a very tight grouping there. 3 wide, and at times maybe we're going to see 4 again. Still staying side by side. Cannon's on the bottom of them all. Cody Smith, big wiggle down low. That could have been a lot worse, and these drivers are now on the razor's edge. Gotta wonder what they're thinking here, getting so packed up. 3 wide has been common. Vinny Signer stays side by side here with Cannon, and he's got himself a round, Blake Cannon gets by Morton and Vinny Tigner at once. Fast move gives way to 2 extra positions. Double file being oh so common. 3 wide, starting to see a little bit more of that use, because now they're going to swallow Blake Cannon up and push him back a few spots once again. And it's going to be that push and pull relationship with aggression here these drivers have to deal with all night long. Blake right there, he thought he got himself a few spots free just by being a little riskier. Big wreck. That's going to be smoke, and it billows. Is that a caution? Forrest Smith down low. I think everyone saved it. Forrest, can you pull it together? It looks like drivers are going to be on the apron. Forrest Smith is the only driver who almost lost it, and yet he keeps it together. Can you believe it? We saw smoke, but everyone stays straight. Take a look one more time. It looks like Forrest Smith saves it, and so does the field. Here's an instant replay, and you'll see it once more. And it looks like it started with Travis McQuistion hitting Forrest Smith and Kyle Cooper and having to drive all the way down to the grass in the apron below. Well, Forrest Smith doesn't even end up half spinning. He locks it down and keeps moving, but that could have been much worse, and that's the price that is paid for that aggressive racing. McQuistion bumping into Kyle Cooper, bumping into Forrest Smith, and Smith has to pay the dividends here. He's down to the 30th. Cooper down into 29th, and he looks to be slow. The back end, I think, is damaged severely. And as you can see, Forrest Smith quickly made it by Kyle Cooper, and the number 73 is damaged. Take a look. You'll see it better as we come across the backside of the 73. Clearly aerodynamic trouble, and he is out of sorts. Matthew Thunder's going to be side by side now with Brad Patton. And Blake Cannon is up to 3rd. Cannon, well, he was involved in that previous caution, but he's drove his way right back up here like he owns the place. And all of a sudden now Blake going to be in 3rd. He's got 2 quick drivers, though, to deal with up in front. Domination Intimidation Racing, who have more than 2 decades of experience on sim racing platforms, including all 16 years here on iRacing. And Stroll right now, well, he finds himself advantageous, but that might change. Michael Stroll right now leading over Rob Ackley and Chad Mikus, drivers he's known for a while here. And Cannon, who's coming to this league once again in the past few weeks, getting more reps in. He finds himself now in only his 2nd Ignite Series race ever, trying to take that race lead as he's right behind Rob Ackley. Cannon, we were wondering whether or not he would be able to translate his Octane Series success right over, and it looks like maybe he has. The Octane Series has been quite the opposite series from the Ignite Series all throughout, and usually that's been the case in its experience, of course, both seasons running alongside each other. Similar drivers, but definitely different outcomes. Only 4 race winners in the entirety of the Octane Series so far this season. Ethan Lane, Nick Tarbuck, Michael Araya, and Blake Cannon has one, count it, 1 race victory alongside the rest of the field. Ethan Lane, I believe, is now up into 7. He's got 7 of the 16 wins. 16, yes, coming up for tomorrow. 7, it's going to be Michael Araya right now, who has himself 5. It is then going to be from there Nick Tarbuck with 3, and then Blake Cannon, who has 1. Matter of fact, I believe scale Michael Araya 1 win back, and that's the total number of all race winners and their respective wins. Lane is the all-time winningest driver in the Octane Series, and he only had 1 win last season, and he's already up to that accolade halfway through 2024. Blake Cannon, though, showing great promise as he takes the lead and now finds himself just about a bumper ahead of Michael Stroll as the number 3 goes up high, and Blake Cannon down the middle, running himself down a little bit further and trying to put the blockade here in the number 3. Michael Stroll, though, he's got the run, and he will look right down and under, and he'll bring with him here a teammate, Rob Ackley, he can trust. However, it looks like for now, Ackley looking to make it a Blake Cannon sandwich. Won't work just there, as it looks like now the number 44, driving high with a little more power, is going to get away from the track, and he's going to keep himself in the mix on his own. At the line, Blake Cannon, just slightly your race leader. not going to be easy to pin him down, and Michael Stroll, I think by this point, he realizes this. It looks like Cannon now trying to get that lead once again, stretching it out of the back straightaway. He'll have the better run. He gave it up for this lap, Michael Stroll did, and as such, Cannon works his way out the straight and once again has the lead. Quick move there for Blake Cannon, gives him the lead once again. Let's take a look a bit further down the field and see what's going on. Vinny Tigner right now trying to fight to get that 6th spot to his own. Now Jacob Fife going to find himself there in position number 6, but Vinny Tigner keeping him honest might be able to take that position right away. Matthew Thunhorst right on back is going to be in 8th with Don Stevenson 9th. 10th is Thomas Bresci, and 11th is Blake Gordon. Look beyond Cody Smith in 12th, and Braxton Deweese is back to 13th. So it looks like right now, even though he's been able to make up more than 10 positions on where he started in qualifying, Braxton may be struggling a little bit more than usual tonight, and he finds himself outside of the top 10, even on the level playing field of tire, even though, of course, he found himself in the top 10 briefly. The big shuffle we saw there, and almost a caution with Forrest Smith and company, might have shuffled things up in a bad light for the number 13 team. He now finds himself rolling around in the 13th spot. However, the top 10 is just ahead of him, and so is Matthew Thunhorst. All hope is definitely not lost here, and I think for Don Stevenson and the guys he's got with them, well, it all comes down to whether or not they go aggressive once more or stay single file. Maybe a little more double file to be expected, though, as now it's going to be Brad Patton, Rob Ackley going at it 2 by 2 with Vinny Tigner and Jacob Fife right behind. Chad Mikas is right there as well. Mikas is just trying to maintain the top 3 spot he's got. Brad Patton, though, going to be pushing him real deep into the corner here, and that's going to help out Brad trying to send that 25 maybe a little bit further up top, but he hasn't given in, not in the slightest. 41 laps in out of 110. We thank y'all for stopping by live on FTN. Alan's Art Images also joining the chat room. If you got a favorite driver you're rooting on tonight, make sure to let us know live on FTN. We'd love to hear what you have to say, and if you subscribe to the FTN YouTube channel, well, you'll have yourself unlimited chat room access for all of our broadcasted events here on this network. So we do hope indeed you check out what we got here and subscribe, and we can hear a little bit more from you. There's a lot of great drivers here. Matter of fact, all 31 are still on the track. I believe Cal Filarski is pulled off for the night. He's on pit road and he's 20 laps down, but will stay in the session. 30 drivers remain on the lead lap right now, and that will change very soon. As you see now, it looks like Braxton Deweese makes it up ahead of Cody Smith. Cooper just got put 1 lap down, and Kyle is struggling big. We mentioned the back end damage, and it's going to be big time. See now Kyle finding himself down to the bottom side of the track, running at a speed of about 160 miles an hour, whereas those around him are running at a speed of about 175. 15 miles an hour off the pace is not nearly enough to keep up. And right now, Cooper cannot get that motor over 170 when his competitors are going over 190 coming out of the straightaways. So Kyle, not in a great spot. He can keep up through the corners, but he cannot keep up down the straightaways. I think he's going to try to cycle himself in here, and you can see trying to get the toe, maybe pull it a little bit quicker, but it's not going to do all too much. The back end has blown up. It's like a parachute, and when it comes down to the way we race here in the Ignite Series, no faster pairs, you're dealing with that for the entire night. That doesn't go away. And it's going to stay there and stay there until the very end. Bad news for Kyle Cooper. He's being shuffled deep, 1 lap down. Meanwhile, Blake Cannon now going to find himself a little more competition from Michael Stroll, as the number 44 is going to blow by once again. Stroll was right with, couldn't get it there that time by. Chad Mikas now remains right on the number 3. Maybe Mikas with an opportunity to steal second. Brad Patton putting down even more pressure as well. And it's Blake Cannon now looks to be in a very comfortable position, leading up at the helm. Maybe the rest of the field who fights for second is going to be a little bit more feisty as these laps continue to pass. Brad Patton coming right under Chad Mikas here. This could be the move for third. We'll see whether or not it sticks, because as it stands, number 36, Jacob Fife, is also looking to become a player in this battle, and that could change things all the same. The 36 running down the straight, seeing that Mikas looks once, looks twice, but can't think to go for it. Jacob Fife is sitting right there, just behind. There's an opportunity to make a pass, hasn't gone for it, and lying back is going to be the call with Vinny Tigner there too. The more drivers that line up, the more pressure is placed. I wouldn't be shocked to see multiple drivers making a move on each other very soon, as they're all lining up and still trying to track down Blake Cannon, the overall race leader, number 44, who finds himself still advantageous. Cannon and Michael Stroll have remained first and second for almost the entirety of this run. The 44's been able to get up here, and looks like, admittedly, we lost guys like Matthew Thunhorse. Thunhorse is going to find himself right now in 8th. So still within the top 10, but not really the best looking situation right now for the A crew. And if you ride on board, you'll see exactly what's going on inside the cockpit. I think right now he's just lying back and saving a little bit more of those resources for the end of day. Now looks like it's going to be Matthew Thunhorse looking for 2 consecutive passes as we ride on board. He made it by Ackley. Now looking to make it through Jacob Fife, and at the line, he will be right there. That is the move for 6th. And quickly put it upon Jacob Fife. Not a half bad move in the slightest. And as such, Matthew Thunhorse getting 1 spot out of the top 5, looking to get up to Vinny Tigner, who's right there ahead of him. Maybe now there's an opportunity for the number 8 to once again regain top 5 status. He's still several spots ahead of championship rival Braxton Deweese, and a night like this could be a big deal as he falls back again to Jacob Fife. It looks like Fife slides high, and the slide job maneuver might not pay off all too well here this night for Fife. As you can see, Thunhorse already stretching down to the bottom again, looking to take the position right back. Jacob Fife now going to see Thunhorse go through once more. Vinny Tigner now trying to make his way onto Chad Mikas, and Vinny all of a sudden coming back for a top 5, a position we haven't seen him in for quite a few weeks here. He's a top 10 driver when he shows up, and the unfortunate thing is he hasn't been full-time all throughout this campaign. When discussing Vinny Tigner, well, he finds himself as a driver within the top 10 in the standings until last week. Now he's in 11th, and even though he's raced 13 times over so far, he finds himself as a rookie with 4 top 5s and 6 top 10s. Not a bad record, and overall, when we talk about top 5s, he finds himself tied inside of the top 5 for the most for a driver. Actually, he's just outside of that number if we count individual guys. He would be 6th or 7th overall, discluding ties, but he's got himself a very impressive number given the fact that most of the field can't even muster 4. He's gotten himself up there multiple times over, and he has that race-winning material. We've seen Tigner get it done at this track, as a matter of fact. It's one of his strongest. In Saturday Night Thunder last season, another Xfinity series, which Tigner is the owner of, Vinny was able to get his one and only win on the season at this circuit, which was the first chip in the armor for 2-time champion Jordan Kuntz, who looked to be the title favorite until the caution flied here. It looks like it's going to be Chuck Sweeting involved and Cody Erdman, and Cody is destroyed. He's not coming back from that one. Caution's out. Let's take a look. And Erdman looked to be amongst the pack here, and it got nasty. His front end, it might be there. I know for sure the back end is not. Here's a look at just why that's the case. Not clear, 51, and then Chuck Sweeting makes it worse because he makes it double trouble and hooks Erdman into pit road. And Cody Erdman is done. for the day, all intents and purposes anyway. He can get back on the track, maybe, but the motor's blown. I don't think there's any chance Cody has anything left. Take a look on board with Erdman on this one. The only good thing is nobody else hit him on the way back up. Cody Erdman is destroyed. That is his night. And he's going to be down on pit road right now, one lap down, but I can't imagine there's anything left for him here. 52 laps in out of 110. We'll be coming back green at about lap 55 out of 110. So now we're here at about the halfway marker. Second caution of the day. Let's see what Blake Cannon does here. He's in control of the field. Michael Stroll will once again be the second man in. And it looks like right now Brad Patton is opting to save his tires. So does Jacob Fife. Majority of the field is going to swarm pit road all at once. And the decision is now, looks like it is anyway, in favor for guys like Blake Cannon and company to come into pit road, and they've made their moves in. Most of the field anyway. Looks like 3 drivers decide to stay out of pit road. Gonna save its tire set. Now, that's an important thing. We do have a limit on tires once again tonight, as we always do, and the limit for today's event, 4 sets. So that includes what you start with. You have 3 on pit road. This would be the second used, and that means there's only 1 left. At the line, Michael Stroll barely beats out Blake Cannon. And then to finish off the overall top 10, you got Vinny Tigner, Matthew Thunhorst, Dan Mikas, and Rob Ackley's 9th, with Don Stevenson rounding out the top 10. That is a move that might save Michael Stroll for the time being, but overall, I think Patton and company have the smartest strategy in case there are any other yellow flags. I think they're banking on another yellow to make this one work. Not a bad strategy by any means, but they would have to make a pit stop under green to get all the way. The question is still whether or not Stroll and company would. They might have to, but we still don't have a guarantee of that, and with the caution laps winding down, they might be in a better picture to go all the way under green. Most of the field versus 3 drivers looking to take a chance. Brad Patton, Jacob Fife, and Cody Smith. We'll see whether or not this is the right call, of course, in about a lap or two's time. I don't expect the guys we're looking at up in front to remain up in front. Brad Patton, Jacob Fife, and Cody Smith, the 1-2-3 combo up here. Well, the reason being they're on much older tires. They're on a 28-lap older stint, which is, of course, a huge deal because that's been about a quarter of this race. So don't expect these drivers to immediately look strong. Matter of fact, don't expect to see them for the next 20-plus laps. That's if they don't cause a caution, which I don't think they will. It's a strong bunch of drivers. They just happen to be on a strategy which will make them immediately weak. The long-term gain is what they're eyeing. That is no doubt. Rest of the field will be good to go. Cody Smith, Michael Stroll, Blake Cannon, Vinny Tigner, Matthew Thunhorst, and so on and so forth. The iRacing official pace car is the driver to beat right now under yellow flag, and as it stands, that number, well, there's no number on it. That's Fred Jones's car, however. It's going to be pulling down and in moment's time. That's going to leave Brad Patton once again as your leader, and Jacob Fife then going to be second. Fife with 1 win so far in the campaign, and Cody Smith so far none of his own. Veterans, however, who have victories across the Integrity Racing League, now at the front of the field, and when the pace car goes down and in, it will once again be in Patton's control. We'll see what these 3 can do. They're trying things different. Let's figure out whether or not it's going to be the right call. Green flag going to fly this time by as Brad Patton is going to get the jump. Here we go again. Green flags out for our second restart at lap 55. Double file, if not three wide, to kick off this run again, and you'll see right now, mired back in the bottom half of the top 10. It's going to be about a chain of three drivers apiece pushing each other hard. Braxton Nuis going to be there with Nick Tarbuck. Matthew Thunder's now going all the way down and under, and he looks slow. He looks very slow, and he is now going to find himself far, far back. Just like that, it's going to be a grid of drivers who look to be in... It's like a formation for some sort of celebration, like how you see the 5 wide starts at Auto Club where there's something special going on. That's how spread out they are right now, and it's almost like a ceremony for these drivers. There's Thomas Bresci right alongside Braxton Nuis, Brad Patton right there too, Vinny Tigner in the mix, and it looks like Tigner actually might have gotten away, for the most part anyway, because he's now got Nick Tarbuck right down and under him, and Tarbuck now trying to get that run. He looks to be slightly ahead. Meanwhile, he's got Braxton Nuis and Thomas Bresci at bay. Tigner is in the heat of things, and even though right now you might not see Tarbuck in the front or back of the number 12, he's right beside him. They're going to be running toe-to-toe. And the first half is out of the way, on to the second half of this race. 54 laps to go. Blake Cannon finds himself the race leader with Michael Stroll again second, Rob Ackley in third. And are we seeing a little bit of fog? I think we might be here. Let's take a look at the forecast here in iRacing and see exactly what we're looking at in regards to the weather. Mostly cloudy, not seeing any reports of fog specifically anyway. However, the weather, it is indeed changing. Partly cloudy skies have become mostly cloudy here at about 69 degrees Fahrenheit. The track temperature is coming in at 103. So right now, maybe a chance for the track to cool down just a bit and get under the triple digits. Rob Ackley coming aboard with Michael Stroll and Blake Cannon, the man who leads the way. Blake Gordon right now is side by side with Chad Mikes, and you can see the mid-pack right now. They are not at all going to be holding punches. Blake Gordon, well, we saw him up there around 8th. Now look down to about 16th. Gael Brooks is right there with Brad Patton, and Patton is falling back big due to the old tire strategy. Adam Wood, how about Wood inside the top 15? Don't see a lot of Adam Wood all too often, and right now that number 45 machine, he's made his way through. Right there inside the top 15. Good for Wood so far. Not a bad run the slightest. And you see Boomer Logan. Well, you see Boomer Logan, unfortunately for his cause, it looks like right now, 14th. I think right now he's got his eyes on the prize a little bit higher. He's got the pace, and he's got Gael Brooks on him. Maybe these two can keep working together. We saw them outside of the top 25 before. Now they're inside the top 15, and we've only had 3 drivers retire, so it's a good sign. These drivers have made their way up, and most of which has not been based on attrition. They've been running a good strategy and have made the right calls to get up. Blake Cannon leading the way with 51 laps to go. Michael Stroll, well, he's run real good so far, and even though there's been a comers and goers at the lead, Stroll has been the second best guy so far tonight. Just about all of the race anyway. He's had one driver look to be a little bit better than him for the majority of it. And it looks like right now that guy is Blake Cannon. There's been a few other drivers filling that role. Maybe you could say previously it was Matthew Thunderhorst, and maybe someone like Chad Mikas or Rob Ackley prior, even Justin Morton, who was up there previously. But right now, it looks like it's Michael Stroll who finds himself in that second spot and almost a bridesmaid of this race so far, just looking for the chance to go up at the front of the field. Cannon finding himself ahead, and the 44 machine, 61 laps in, leads with 50 laps to go. Cannon leads from Michael Stroll second, Rob Ackley third, and Vinny Tigner position number 4. Nick Tarbuck's going to be 5th with Braxton Nuis 6th, and it's going to be Thomas Bresci 7th, Blake Gordon 8th, Chad Mikas 9th, and Don Stevenson, who rounds out the top 10. And that's the way they roll so far as we've gotten beyond the first half. But we'd like to once again show a little bit more of the spotlight to Cody Smith and the Next Level Racing crew, who have brought you all of the action tonight live on FTN. Next Level Racing provides high-quality sim racing products for the most dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best here on the iRacing platform. So check out nextlevelracing.com for more information and scan the QR code on your screen right now. We'd love to have you support the team at at Next Level Racing. They've helped out an awful lot in getting this coverage to you week after week for more than a year and a half now, so we hope you check them out. Their website, nextlevelracing.com, and we'll return after the following message here with less than 50 laps to go. Our friends at Next Level Racing, here's a brief promotional break. .46 laps remaining. Welcome back live on FTN. You're watching the Motor City 220, and since we got a little bit more time as we get down to the middle stages of this race and coming closer down to that final stretch, take a look on board right now with Thomas Bressi, the bottom right of your screen. Here in FTN, we got a great opportunity to show you exactly what's going on inside the cockpit here with Thomas Bressi, and as you can see right now, getting it loaded up on the bottom right of your screen, we're showing you the virtual reality perspective from that 24 crew as he runs currently in 7th. Looking for another top 10 run. Braxton DeWeese, the championship leader, just got by him, and in a fierce fight right now with Blake Gordon. You can see all the angles here. Bressi right now working the steering wheel very, very little, and that's something we don't even see all too much when we ride on board with the iRacing angles. It's even more noticeable here how these drivers decide to work it from their individual perspectives. And right now for Thomas Bressi, you can see he's holding a very steady wheel, keeping that orange line about as straight as it can get, and the motions are minor. Trying to preserve speed is the biggest of deals at a track like Michigan, and the banking does a lot to help you. So in a lot of circumstances, you just have to go with the banking and just keep moving from there. So Bressi making very minor alterations, nothing much else, and that's what's kept him up inside the top 10 so far tonight, running a very calm and consistent race, if not maybe losing a spot or two as the race has gone on. He was about a high of 4th, gone back to 7th. Overall, still a net positive race to this point. Thomas looking to come ahead with another top 10 finish. Finds himself now 4th in the championship standings in a fierce fight with Rob Ackley and company. Still a ways to go, of course, until we see whether or not he gets there in the championship at the end of day. Right now, he's ahead of a lot of his good competitors, like Chad Mikas. 9th place right now for Mikas, although he's trying to make it 8th. He goes under Blake Gordon, and this will be side by side for the 8th spot. Here we go again, as we come around what will be only 43 to go. Mikas is looking hungry. Chad Mikas going to try to make this move stick as he comes off the corner. Not clear yet. And you can see how close Blake Gordon was there to the wall, but luckily nothing comes of it. Everyone's going to be just fine. So Cody Smith has just hit the magic number, 42 laps on his run, and next time by going to be 42 laps to go. So he'll only have to make one more pit stop at the very most tonight. Won't have to worry about going down for a second. However, depending on how much longer he goes from here, we could see whether or not this strategy plays out to be a good one. 69 laps in, and while Blake Cannon does hold himself a very nice race lead, there's a little bit more concern, especially when it comes down to the back half of the field, as to who's going to have the prime strategy to go, well, all the way. And we're holding our breaths here at FTN to find out who's got it, because those three drivers could really throw a wrench in our equation. And right now, Cody Smith going to run in 22nd, Jacob Fife in 23rd, Brad Patton is still 19th, and they're running a substantially different strategy, more than 25 laps of separation. And maybe it's not the best for them to do so, but they tried something different, and they're going to hold out longer than this. You really can't quit right now if you're in a position like they are. Patton, of course, looking for the chance to get inside the top 10, and Cody Smith, well, he's going to come in right now, and so does Jacob Fife. So even though you can't quit right now, you can pit right now, and it looks like now trying to make it a split in the final 80 laps. Fife comes down into pit road, and he's got himself in with Cody Smith. That leaves Brad Patton now for about a lap longer, if not two, and Blake Cannon going to come to lap these two drivers and put them one down here. They're going to be 26th and 27th respectively as the field comes off the stripe. Blake Cannon still going to be advantageous over Michael Stroll, and, well, you see now who's in second, Vinny Tigner. And Tigner trying to go for another victory at this circuit. He got a win here in the Saturday Night Thunder Grand National Series early in 2024. About 5 months ago from this point, and it's been a long time coming for Tigner. Maybe looking for his first career Ignite Series win to keep the parity alive. We've had more than 10 winners so far in this campaign. As it stands, we might be able to add another. Tigner finding himself in second right now, making a gain to get ahead of Michael Stroll. And 44 Cannon could be up next on his pass list. The gap between the both of them is now within a half a second, and within a quarter of a second, maybe even within a tenth here. Just depends on where you measure it. Tigner's getting closer and closer. Maybe an opportunity for him to steal that race lead with the way he's been driving, slowly but surely getting back in it. Also, Rob Ackley and Nick Tarbuck not too far behind as well. You see Ackley right now going to be fourth and Tarbuck in fifth. The both of them are within a second right now, your leader, and that time by running a 41.019. Not slow, only within a few thousandths of a second of your leader. And even though that time by, Blake Cannon able to gain about a tenth, pulling a tenth on Ackley, wasn't able to pull a tenth of a second on Michael Stroll. And I think now everyone in real good company with the leader, and Cannon no longer able to run. Michael Stroll right now, maybe going to rely on Vinny Tigner to do a little bit more of that work to get him up here in the mix. 38 laps to go while time is running out. There's still room for potentially one more pit stop here. And we saw with drivers who came down and in recently, like Kyle Cooper. Cooper's now down to 24th, but for guys like Cody Smith, Jacob Fife, or Brad Patton, who are now in a little bit of a pack together, they went about 42, 43, 44 laps respectively. So it means now we're waiting maybe 10 or 15 more laps to see the next pit cycle, which will start in the coming 15 laps if these drivers decide to go full on and full out. Blake Cannon has gone for a 21-lap cycle so far, so he could theoretically go until about 16 to go, which would be around lap number 95, 96, 97. He could do that if he wanted to. I don't know if that's the most productive way to go at it, and maybe there's an opportunity at hand for him to split it from here on out. 75 out of 110. If he were to go about 10 more laps, he'd get up to lap 85, come down to pit road after a 30-some lap stint, and end the race on a 30-some lap stint. That might be the best way to handle it if you're a driver like Blake Cannon. However, that is all up to him, and he sets the tone for everyone. Vinny Tigner, Michael Stroll, Rob Ackley alike, everyone behind him, they're going to be following that number 44, and they will be following him until wit's end. Now going to be side by side, Braxton Weiss and Thomas Bressi. The number 13 machine is right up high here, and you can see Bressi looking down and under. 35 machine looking right a little bit lower, trying to go for almost a brake check, it looked like. Couldn't get it clear, and that's not going to help out for Bressi. Here comes Braxton Weiss side by side, holding it door to door, and now that number 24 machine looking for an opportunity. They bang doors just slightly, and Chad Mikus is looking on, and I think he has it in his mind. This could be one hell of an opportunity if they end up making more contact up high. Now Bressi puts the block down on Braxton, and DeWeese is going to lose that position. That will send DeWeese down into 7th. A very close call, but not enough. And now for the number 13 of Braxton Awis. It looks like losing that spot, not going to the end of trying to chase down Thomas Bresci by any means, but losing a little bit of room. Not going to help him, of course, in getting right back, trying to use all of that track. Look at how high he'll come up from the bottom of the circuit, and Bresci is going to meet him right there. Thomas Bresci knows one thing here. You just got to keep on defending. Michigan, there's a lot of lines, but there's one the drivers tend to stick to earlier in the race, and it still looks like now the middle groove has been the best place to go for almost everything. But if you see a driver who tries to stay up top, go a little bit down to the bottom, try to drive back up, looking for momentum, that might be the way to counteract someone who's defending. But if they've got the right groove and they've been using it, that's all you can do. Very hard to take someone out of their line without blatant contact, which we saw earlier today. However, otherwise, there's very little that can be done. Michael Stroll now trying to get up there on Vinny Tigner again. Tigner had the fire, but it looks like he's sort of lost it now, letting Blake Cannon have a little bit more room. As such, right now, the gap from first to second, 4/10. Vinny Tigner up in front. Well, he's in second, but he's up in front of Michael Stroll by about 1/10 and a half. Nick Tarbuck going to be fourth, and Ron Ackley position number 5. Sixth spot is going to be Thomas Bresci. Seventh is then going to be Braxton Awis, looking a little bit further back. They're getting close here, and Brad Patton almost ran himself down to the apron. Yeah, it looks like he'll be just fine, though, as Patton right now, one lap down, is trying to get himself back on lead lap, and he is on a hard charge. In pursuit of your leaders, that's another pass on Brandon Bernhardt in 12th. It looks like now Patton is about 4.4 seconds away from your leader in Cannon and might be able to get himself back on the lead lap before the rest of the field pits. Most recently, Ryan Potter went down to pit road, and the 99 is going to find himself now down and in alone after a 25-lap stint. So Potter decides to go in early, and now Blake Cannon and company are going to be given the signal. Someone has decided to go and try. It's going to be Tigner and Stroll and Tarbuck right up next. Rob Ackley 5th and Thomas Bresci 6th. There's an opportunity for someone to try to set the tone here, although it will most likely be Blake Cannon. In the field for now, they're all going to be holding each other nicely together. And you can see the string here with 30 laps to go. The final laps here in Michigan, and the skies are continuing to get darker. Track temperature down to 100 degrees Fahrenheit exactly. Yes, the temperatures have admittedly decreased, but not by much. It's just enough for the drivers maybe to consider. It's not scorching any longer, but it still surely is not warm. It's hot. It's still beyond warm, and these drivers, they know it. But maybe a little bit more grip on the track will help them counteract the tire wear they're seeing. A lot of drivers who are staying close, if not going 2x2. Brad Patton is looking under, and that's once again him trying to make his way up into this mix. Here's the number 3 of Michael Stroll looking up high on Vinny Tigner again. Right on board now with Stroll, and you'll see exactly what he's doing to try to make it by that 12. Not a lot of luck so far from Michael Stroll. It just looks like right now a little bit of a stall out, and there's not much you can do unless you wait for a mistake in a situation like that. Anthony Cortina, he finds himself going down to pit road. Cortina going to come in after 29 laps here, so he's going to split the stint almost exactly 30 laps to go, coming down at 29 when he went in. Now all of a sudden it looks like it'll be 27 remaining as Blake Cannon leads them all through once more. Well, you see right now who's coming up. It looks like Nick Tarbuck has let Brad Patton loose, and here comes Brad going down and under on Michael Stroll. The number 07 machine has made it by quick, and now Vinny Tigner could be next. Look down to the bottom side. There's Brad Patton, and Tigner now finds himself in a little bit more of that pressurized zone where these drivers have to deal with the lap machines. Not easy, but Brad's been pretty easy to deal with because he's quicker. So he just got by, and he did it like it was nothing. Coming up next, Blake Cannon is going to have to let Brad Patton go through, and Patton still has one extra set of tires he could work with all throughout the rest of the night if there is a caution. So he has a little bit more of an advantage here if we get to a more Wreckfest style race in the end, which is unlikely. We still might get it. He could deal with that, and he'd be the best prepared driver of all. Patton back on the lead lap. That's an awful big deal for that company, as he's also going to be bringing through, and maybe not on the frame just yet, Jacob Fife. Fife is now fighting through Thunhorse and company. Chad Mikas looks to be going down to the inside. He's got the apron filled with the 25 car, and as such, Mikas to pit road after 32 laps. Slowly but surely, drivers are trickling in. Expect the entire field to go for that final pit stop within the coming 5 or 6 laps. Maybe they'll try to stretch it longer. I wouldn't expect that to be the case. At this rate here, trying to combat a driver like Brad Patton, you need to get back on the track quick. That position is going to be huge, almost invaluable. Right now, it looks like Patton would cycle out to be the leader if these drivers just keep on coming out of pit road the way they have, and we can try to base it off of where Chad Mikas was. This time by, Chad Mikas is going to be trying to make his way off of pit road, and you can see now all the field right beyond the entry of pit road. They're all flying by, and they've made it past Mikas. He's going to fall behind Patton and company. He's going to come out at the tail end of this lead lap pack, right behind Brandon Bernhardt, and Bernhardt is net 11th, so this is a big deal right now. This pit cycle, Blake Cannon and company have to think of something because they don't want to make the wrong move. This could be the end of their chance for the victory if, of course, they wait too long. Not going to be easy right now, but very few drivers are running that alternate strategy. Everyone else is together, and Michael Stroll looks to be opting to come into pit road. Michael Stroll drops down and in with 23 laps to go. So it's going to be the home stretch right now with Blake Cannon up ahead with 23 laps to go this time by. Next time through, we're going to start cranking it up with the best cameras on iRacing. We'd like to once again thank TrackCams22.com, providing their high-quality cameras here on the iRacing platform, and they've done an immeasurable help, of course, with all broadcasters throughout the iRacing platform. The best broadcasters choose the best cameras for good reason. Leader Blake Cannon's going to bring the field down to pit road in a mass exodus. And with 22 laps to go this time by, we're about to crank it up with 22 laps to go. Coming down and in, Blake Gordon with 16 to go is one of the final drivers to make it through. That will leave Brandon Bernhardt out in front. And as it stands, it's going to be Bernhardt leading the way. Blake Gordon there in third. It's Blake Cannon who looks to have that net lead, but not by much. Michael Stroll now within 1.5 tenths, could go there and fight for the race lead. And it looks like the alternate strategy does not pan out. It's the number 3 machine, the AC Delco Chevrolet, now once again in the bridesmaid position. Can he seal the deal? That remains the question. As it stands, coming down to 15 laps to go, it's going to be Blake Cannon and company leading through Brandon Bernhardt to pit road, and DJ Stagner, the only driver remaining out. It is now crunch time here in Michigan. Taking a look up ahead of the field, you'll see now Michael Stroll 0.3 of a second back, and it's going to be Blake Cannon who finds himself advantageous there in the 44. Now we're in a position where the final laps are going to come and go very, very quick. Overall, guys like Cannon, they've been able to hold on consistently all night long, and you can see the best of the best have gotten away and now found themselves in a small pack. Even though, you know, drivers such as Michael Stroll and Cannon and even Thomas Bressi to an extent have gotten through and gotten themselves out in front. Now you see the rest of them continuing to fight. Vinny Tigner here with Braxton Deweese, Nick Tarbuck as well. It's going to be side by side with that number 29 looking down and under, and he's got himself looking low. It could be a pass for position number 5. Tarbuck looking, can he get it there? Not quite. Like now, Vinny's showing a little bit of a sign of weakness, and maybe Tarbuck can slide it deeper to the next corner, take that spot away. So with Nick Tarbuck right now finding himself, of course, a moment away from perhaps a top 5 finish. It all comes down to how he gains that little spot back. It's about 1/4 of a second of buffer between he and Vinny Tigner, and one slip up could mean all the difference. And by a slip up, we don't mean a spin or any caution of some sorts. We just mean maybe drifting out of the groove, finding yourself out of the right line, moving, of course, in a perhaps wrong direction in terms of where you position yourself on track. Bad defense, a little bit over aggression, having to back down. A lot of things that could go wrong. Of course, that's how it is in any race. But right now, in the final stretch, if you're up at the front of the field, you're most likely with the better drivers by default. So right now, it's not like you're with the drivers who have been spread throughout the entirety of the field. The lappers are almost entirely out of the way, and right now it's all leaders battling each other for the acclaim. Underneath, there goes Vinny Tigner to the bottom side. He's got Thomas Bressi there with them side by side. The advantage right now going to go ever so slightly to Thomas Bressi, and it looks like he's got himself there. It's going to be now the number 12 machine of Vinny Tigner, who decides to lie back, bumping once more. Might be able to go for a push and shove tactic, but just not enough speed through turns 3 and 4 once again. Lap 100, we have hit it. 11 laps to go. Blake Cannon is going to leave us right by. And as it stands, Vinny Tigner going to find himself with Thomas Bressi, Braxton Deweese, and Nick Tarbuck all the same. Another group that's starting to form once again. You see Justin Morton with Chad Mikas. Chad going to be going right up top. And it looks like now that number 25 going to find itself in 12th, working down and in through the back straightaway. Mikas overall, he's had a very strong race, has led some laps today, but in all honesty, I'm surprised this is where he's ended up. He's in 12th as it stands. He was a top 10 driver through the majority of this event, and as it stands, looks like very tricky circumstance for Mikas to handle, and we'll ride on board with him for just a little bit here as he tries to make his way back to Morton. Mikas here, working just a half groove lower. Maybe an opportunity to try to pull something together, but that's not nearly the closest battle. Braxton Deweese being pushed right behind Nick Tarbuck. Braxton going to be 6th right now. And Now trying to make a way through with a slide job as the Allen Dart Images number 13 loses a spot in the final laps. 9 laps to go this time by. Coming down the back straightaway all over again. It's side by side between now Bressi and Tarbuck. Deweese, he's the onlooker here and trying to find something. Maybe any room that he can find that could be useful, but there's still nothing there. And in this final leg of the tour, the number 13 machine just looks to be not out of sorts, but just out of luck. And as it stands, coming off the line again, it's going to be Thomas Bressi, that number 4, moving through, and he's got himself there in 4th. 8 laps to go. These two drivers who are right behind Bressi are going to keep giving him a good fight. And as you can see now, that number 24, he's going to keep facing it. Right behind Nick Tarbuck. He's going to be there, and that number 29 looking low. Braxton Deweese trying to get the draft off of your race leader. He's right up top, and he's going to remain on the high side, looking for room, not looking for trouble, just trying to get a pass. And here we go again. 3 wide, going to swallow up Thomas Bressi, coming through the middle. There's Bressi once more, and at the line, it's going to be neck and neck, but Bressi's barely got the advantage. 7 laps remaining, and with the way these drivers are going at it here, you think they're already fighting on the final lap. Bressi goes high. He's going to try to put the block down on Bressi. Of course, it looks like it's going to be Braxton Deweese who goes under, and for Thomas Bressi, that strategy maybe not going to work immediately. He'll get himself out of the limelight and maybe give a chance for Braxton to be the one having to put that defensive driving on. Now Thomas going to be the onlooker of the fight as Tarbuck and Braxton Deweese now find themselves right alongside each other. It's the 29 up top, and you can see Braxton trying to hold his quarter panel right there to him. Can't work. They'll be single file down the stretch. 6 laps remaining. 24 machine drops down and under. There's going to be Bressi trying to make the move on Deweese. Just like that, a little bit of contact in the wall. There's Ryan Potter, Vinny Tigner right there with. There's the number 12 of Vinny Tigner. He finds himself 3rd. It looks like he got away clearly. Made his way all of a sudden far out of this group. He was fighting with them for 3rd, but that's not a fight any longer. Now the question becomes who gets 4th, and it looks like for now it's up in Nick Tarbuck's hands. Might not stay that way, but that is currently where he finds himself. Nick Tarbuck right here with 5 laps remaining. He finds himself in a perfect opportunity, maybe to hold on for the final spot outside the podium. Coming up on Ryan Potter, who is a lapper right now. The 99 goes up top. He's going to give these guys no trouble. And Potter, not enough right now in terms of that speed. Another race where Potter's found misfortune early, and the results did not come to pass. He is 27th right now, and 2 laps down, the last driver of those who are still racing in this session. 4 to go this time by. Blake Cannon has been ever dominant, a little bit slower in the past few laps, and Michael Stroll maybe making some time back up. So all of a sudden, maybe Michael Stroll had an opportunity to get back up there. He was about 4.5 tenths away previously, but all of a sudden, indeed, it looks like that's no longer the case. Stroll making his way by. Finds himself now within a quarter second and even less than that. And across the stripe once again. 3 laps to go, and I think maybe Stroll's been saving it. As you can see now, he is gaining big. Watching it turns 1 and 2. Michael Stroll is now going to be coming in quick. The gap is within 0.15 of a second. Down the back straightaway, it looks like Blake Cannon may be able to gain just a little bit more out of him. But watching 3 and 4 once again, we'll see whether or not this is much a fluke. As Stroll's going to back up the corner and now try to get that better run out of it. Here through the exit of 4, Stroll, yes, definitely a little bit quicker, but I'm not quite sure if that's going to be enough. Across the line again, 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks are are flying high, and it looks like Blake Cannon might not be able to get this win easy. Michael Stroll won here last season. He knows what it's like to get the checkered flag at this circuit, and he's looking for a chance to do so once again. Working down the back straight, Vinny Tigner also watching here, so there's momentum. He might come and follow. Up high, Michael Stroll is going to keep himself. Tigner still watching as Cannon weaves back and forth. Now trying to send it deep through 3 and 4. Michael Stroll giving it all he's got, and he's only got 4 more turns to do it. 1 lap to go. White flag is out, and this race will be official. Cannon will lead Stroll. We'll find out whether or not he leads him out of turn 4 next time by. For all the laps here that Michael Stroll has seen, he was nowhere near Blake Cannon. Not close enough anyway to make something happen, and now he's looking down to the bottom side. Michael Stroll will put his quarter panel to the 44, and the rookie, looking for a win on his second ever start, now finds a challenge. Michael Stroll looking right under him, putting the bumper once, and I think that might have been it. Washing up high into 3 and 4, Stroll is out of favor, and the 44 in his second ever start will come down to the start-finish line and win the Motor City 220. Blake Cannon, winner for the first time in the Integrity Ignite Series. Cannon gets the checkered flag. Michael Stroll gave it all he had and got oh so close at the very last moment. Cannon will win for the first time in his Monday night career. It's his second win in the 2 Series era, and the 44 comes out on top. It's going to be Stroll in second and Vinny Tigner then in third as the field comes by to congratulate a new winner. Cannon puts himself on the board, and now one of the select few, only 2 drivers have done it. And it looks like now another with wins in both Monday and Tuesday night competition. Cannon joins the list. And with Blake Cannon still celebrating here, he's going to burn it down from one end of the start-finish line to the next. What a way to do it for the 44. He's going to continue burning it down. Now going to make his way back to the start-finish line again. And drifting through the grass, going to make it down a mini victory lane, it appears. Blake Cannon going to park it, and the celebration on track appears to be over. What a day, though, for Blake Cannon and his number 44 team. Winning like that does not come easy, and a last lap charge from Michael Stroll looked to be what it took to take that checkered flag away. It didn't come to be. Cannon will win tonight over Michael Stroll in second, with third place then and there going to Vinny Tigner, and fourth being with Nick Tarbuck. Fifth goes to Braxton Uis, and sixth will then be Thomas Bresci. Seventh spot then and there, it's going to be Rob Ackley. Travis McQuistion is going to be in eighth. Not a bad race at all for him. Ninth is going to be Don Stevenson, and 10th is Justin Morton. 11th spot is going to be Gael Brooks, and 12th goes to Blake Gordon. Chad Mike is 13th, and 14th is Adam Wood, with Brian McFerrin 15th and Brad Patton 16th. Matthew Thunders tonight 17th, 14 seconds back, and for Patton, he's the best of all those who tried that alternate strategy in 16th, so not the best for those who tried something different. 18th is Boomer Logan, 19th Cody Smith, and 20th goes to Jacob Fife, with 21st then and there being Brandon Bernhard, Seb Miller 22nd, DJ Stagner then 23rd, Anthony Cortina, 24th. It'll be 25th for Andrew Schaub and 26th for Kyle Cooper, 27th for Ryan Potter and Chuck Sweeting, 28th, Cody Urban, 29th, and Ford Smith then in 30th. To round out the night, 31st and last, that is Cal Fularski, 89 laps down. All things said and done, though, Blake Cannon is the man who wins here from the virtual Michigan International Speedway, and what a way to win it was as the field flies by once more. Cannon comes through, and we're going to get a word from your first-time winner here in the Ignite Series, Blake Cannon, and the rest of your top three coming up momentarily. And getting a word right now, and it's, of course, first off going to be from your race winner. Let's bring in the number 44 right now and get a chat with Blake Cannon, race winner here from Michigan. It looked like tonight, from the moment you got up to the race lead, you were not going to let it go, and Blake, strategy prevailed, and even with the last lap charge at the end, nobody could get by you. Checkered flag is yours, Blake. How does it feel, your first ever Ignite Series win?
It feels really good. I wasn't expecting to run that good here. Not one of my favorite racetracks, but we had a solid night.
Solid night indeed, coming home on top here. Looks like, well, the cautions early on definitely helped you in getting back up to the front of the pack, but from there you did a lot of the heavy lifting yourself. So what was it like out here, especially only 2 cautions to work with?
Yeah, it was tough. Tire wear was big, but track position was even bigger. So um, definitely was glad not to see a caution there at the end of the race because that would have probably put Brad and Jacob in the catbird seat. So luckily everything fell my way tonight.
Everything falling through just right. The only thing we saw that might have been a challenge was a few drivers trying the alternate strategy and going for a shorter run. Green flag we saw at the very end, but you decided to stick to what was working for most of the rest of the field and worked out just right. Track temps were pretty warm. You think that impacted in any way how you drove here?
Yeah, the first run I was way off. I mean, I thought I was saving tires and I really didn't do a good job of that. So after that, I just started driving extremely hard, and then was able to get to the lead, and then the caution came out, and then the last run, I really wanted to pit way earlier than I did, but I was starting to pull away from the guys behind me, so I figured I'd stick with it, and then I really should have lost the race to Michael because he pitted a lap before me and then came out way ahead of me. I lost a lot of time on pit road, so I had to really drive hard and abuse my stuff to get back around him, and then if I probably had another lap or two, he might have got me.
Looks like just enough time to hold off and hold out for the race win here, Blake. What we got next week, it's going to be an exciting one. Kern County for the first time ever in this league. I don't know what we're expecting. It's a short track unlike any other. You think we'll see you back trying to go for another top 10, if not even a top 5 or higher?
I'd like to say so, but unfortunately, I don't know what next week holds. I mean, early in the race, I got into it with another driver and made a mistake that probably shouldn't have done. So I want to apologize to that driver. And if I'm back next week, I'll go for it. If not, I'll see you when I'm back.
Maybe a chance to go for number 2, of course, with one more week before our summer break. Blake Cannon breaking out a victory in only your second start here in the Ignite Series. If you have anyone else you'd like to shout out, well, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I just want to shout out to Jacob and everybody at Integrity Racing League. It's the best league out there, and obviously you and the broadcast crew. Just appreciate all of you guys putting it on.
There we have it. Blake Cannon coming home on top here in the number 44. We thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks.
Blake Cannon going to be on the move, coming home with the victory in an exciting last lap dash. We saw Michael Stroll, who was able to win here last season, and tonight we thought there was a very strong chance that would happen again until the last lap. Close, but maybe just not enough to defend the victory from 2023. Michael Stroll second on the day here. Very close call, though, with that last lap charge.
Yeah, I didn't have the heart to move to 44. I thought about it because I've been through a lot of stuff personally, and I said to myself, if I get there on the if I get there in the last lap, I'm just gonna do what I got to do. And then right at the very last second, I just hit the brakes and just couldn't do it. So wish I could have won, obviously, but really solid day. This Michigan race ran a lot differently than what I think a lot of us are accustomed to with the different lines and stuff. But fun one. I think we're at Kern County next week, so I'll take this P2, get a lot of points, and keep marching my way up to the top 15.
And we saw how strong you were coming into the night. We saw the experience from last year at Michigan, expecting this one to be another strong track. You said it drove differently in regards to that multi-groove racing, and not to mention the track temperature was still scorching even though we didn't have much sunlight. How was the track conditions playing their part in maybe changing the way you were approaching the track?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was the oval refresh that played a part in it, but in the last 5 years or so, Michigan has always been a really linear line where you kind of straddle the seam a little bit. This time you could do it for a couple laps, but then the high line in 1 and 2 came into play, and you could run the yellow line in 3 or 4. So that was fun. I wish some of those yellows would have come out. It kind of altered the race a little bit, but we'll take P2, and hopefully we just keep rolling here.
And able to take the second place run and move on to what's next in Kern County, which might be the biggest question mark, second biggest question mark on the schedule so far. There's one that's still a literal question mark, but we've never seen Kern before in this league. Do you think it's going to play out well for this team?
Possibly. I know as an admin team, we have to work on a setup because iRacing does not have one for this B car. So we're currently doing that. I did some testing, and it's kind of like a little miniature Rockingham in a way. So I don't expect the race to go as green as like tonight did, or how most of our weeks go, because it is a short track after all. But definitely drives different than your normal short track. So we'll see. Hopefully we get a good turnout and have some great racing there. This league this series is tight. I think this is now our 12th or 13th different winner just this season, with Blake taking home the win tonight. So that's the parity is really good. So that's all I really got to say. I'll take P2. Thanks to my team, Rob, Chad, and Nick. We all worked well together, and for a minute there up in the beginning, we were holding fort in top 5 pretty good till circumstances happened at halfway. So not all of us got the finish we wanted or deserved, but we'll march on, keep continuing to help each other, and hopefully we can get good runs next week and set ourselves up for playoffs here, as long as I can get in.
Michael Stroll coming home with a second place run. I know you thank your team there, but if you have any final shout outs you'd like to make, the floor is yours.
Nope. That's all. Just trying to get my personal life together, and I use this Monday nights to kind of get my mind off that for a little bit and hang out with my boys. So appreciate you for broadcasting and all that you do. I'll watch it tomorrow on my downtime. Again, wish I could have gotten the win, but I knew if I would have moved Blake, I'd be in trouble. Oh, I didn't do it.
That being said, runner-up finish here in Michigan, second straight podium at this track, and first and second, not half bad. Michael Stroll, thank you for your time.
Have a good night.
Stroll on the way, one more driver to speak to in the number 12 of Vinny Tigner, and Vinny appear to be available just yet. We'll get a word and try to confirm whether or not we can talk to him one more time. So, that being said, we'd hope to get him in. Vinny Tigner, third on the day. And maybe we can get a read, but it looks like he's quickly taking himself offline. So if that's it, that looks to be maybe the end of the day. A little premature. Vinny Tigner, one of the better drivers here in Michigan, maybe on the entire service. Wherever we see him, he runs really, really well at this track. And at the very end, Tigner got it done. And he comes home third. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's with us just yet. Vinny Tigner waiting a little bit longer, but no confirmation. It looks like won't be able to get a word from our third place driver, Vinny Tigner, who ends up running in the bottom step of the podium. He's real good at the circuit, won an SNT and a third place tonight. That will add on and become his fifth top 5 of his campaign. With that being said, we've gotten a word from second place finisher Michael Stroll and Blake Cannon, our race winner, the 44, eventually getting it done as the night ends here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway. We thank you all for watching exclusive coverage here from the Motor City 220 in the Integrity Ignite series. I've been your host, David Kreutz, and if you enjoyed tonight's action and commentary, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated, so we hope you check us out once again live on FTN, as we'll be back tomorrow night with the Integrity Octane series, so stay tuned for another exciting event when we return tomorrow. The championship in both series is heating up big time, and after an Ethan Lane victory last week around, we've got Sonoma in the Tuesday night cars up next. Gen 4s and Sonoma. It's a great match for great racing, so we hope to see you there. Thank you all for watching. Tonight's coverage of the Integrity Octane series is tomorrow. Tonight was the Ignite series. We hope to see you all once again on FTN. Thank you all for watching the Motor City 220. We hope you have a fantastic night.